Good Monday afternoon, Houston. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Kim Castro. I'm going to get you ready for this week. What do we have in store? Last week was a pretty stormy one. This week we do have some downpours, but we're mainly going to get them out of the way today. I know we had a nice, beautiful, quiet start, but it's going to get a little bit louder, a little bit more disruptive as we go into this afternoon. So I'm going to start you off with future track. Notice as we go into the 2-3 o'clock hour, that's when we're going to start to see some storms bubbling up in and around the city center. So if you're downtown, if you're at the Galleria, if you are at Memorial, the Woodlands, Atascocita, Liberty, Livingston, you all have a chance to see some pretty significant rainfall again for this afternoon. And then it starts kind of flaring out. These are going to be outflow boundaries, so they'll kick off more and more storms in our surrounding cities and counties. So now we're moving into Waller County. We're taking it down to Fort Bend. So from Katy to Sugar Land and Richmond, you'll start to see more stormy weather at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then pushing down to 88. So if you go through Angleton, Lake Jackson, that's going to be a stormy time frame for you to monitor. And then East Tex Freeway, Baytown, the East Freeway, going up 5969 is going to be kind of a mess around that same time frame, even pushing all the way out to Liberty. Now, by this evening, in case you did have something that you were trying to get to Monday night, things are going to be a little bit more quiet. For the most part. Of course, yeah, if you still have plans in Angleton or the Brazoria coastline, it's still going to be pretty stormy, even through 8 o'clock in the evening. It has been non-stop. Look at these rain totals that we've had over the last 5 days. I mean, if that doesn't paint the picture, I don't know what does. Pretty much everybody has had substantial rain. Some spots, of course, more than others. So I'll give you some of the more impressive rainfall totals here. So Spring area, you've had about 7 inches over the last 5 days. Luckily, downtown has had very manageable rain. On the flip side, downtown has only had about 2 inches over the last 5 days. That's not bad. Yeah, it has been stormy, it has been rainy, a little bit dreary, but at least you haven't had too much accumulation. That being said, though, downtown there's a lot of problem areas. Canal and navigation, that's notorious for flooding. So even if there's only 2 inches, there's going to be runoff and ponding, and the underpasses become a mess. So still hasn't been easy going there. Richmond has had about 5 inches over the last 5 days. Mont Belvieu about 9 inches. So good, big, robust totals there. Not to mention the coastline has been getting hit really, really hard. So Palacios all the way to Blessing, close to 15 inches of rain in 5 days. The Brazoria coastline bordering Matagorda, about 11 inches. And then a couple of bullseyes, even as far north as Fort Bend County, so just north of New Gulf, 10 inches of radar indicated rain, and it's been pretty messy even going to the coastline. So from Galveston to the San Luis Pass, the Bolivar Peninsula, about 6 to 8 inches of rain. And that is where we are starting to see some of the showers building in for this afternoon. So you'll notice right now one lone shower moving west of Freeport, pushing north towards Angleton. So if you're in Angleton watching us this afternoon, hope you're having a great start to your Monday. You are going to see some rain here in about 5 to 10 minutes, but luckily I'm not tracking any lightning with this. What I am tracking, again, the downpours this afternoon and a nice quiet forecast for your Tuesday and Wednesday. Rain scales back. It does ramp back up though as we go into Thursday and Friday. So what this should tell you is, if you were thinking in the back of your mind, you know, I want to pencil something in outdoors, what day should I do it on? It would be Tuesday or Wednesday. It doesn't mean you can't do activities a Thursday and Friday. You're just going to have to be vigilant and kind of have in the back of your mind that storms are a possibility, and there could be, you know, on the heavy side, like what we've seen. We've just had that setup where a lot of short waves dipping down into Houston, and that is going to make a return as we head to the end of the week. So here are the systems that are at play over the next few days. Right now we've got this boundary overhead, and so what this does is it provides the lifting force for the storms. So what creates thunderstorm activity? It is moisture, which we've got. It's instability, which is a discrepancy in temperatures. So if the surface is really warm and the air aloft is just a little bit cooler, well, warm air is lighter, it's more buoyant, so it wants to rise. So warm air will rise, and that will kick off storms, especially if there's a lifting force along with that, which is this boundary. So this boundary will aid that warm air rising, the clouds build, and then eventually what comes up must come down, and we get those heavy downpours. So that's why we've got the setup today for more scattered heavy rain. As we go into tomorrow, we lose that boundary. High pressure starts nudging a little closer to us. So high pressure is a system that suppresses activity. It brings us what's called subsidence. So instead of a rising air, it actually pushes the air down. So that makes for a much drier forecast and storms to be more isolated. So Tuesday doesn't look so bad. Wednesday, notice, pretty similar setup. High pressure is still around. Boundaries are pretty well off to the north. We still have the sea breeze though, so that could give you about a 20% chance for a couple of isolated showers, but for the most part, it's just a stray storm. So this is the breakdown of the rain chances once we consider all of those variables at play. Today is a pretty good chance for some scattered storms, some of which will be on the heavy side. So 60%, 20% Tuesday and Wednesday because we drop some of those variables that are more favorable for rain. And then we kick them back up on Thursday and Friday. We'll put that chance for some showers at 40%. Temperatures, it is very warm and it feels even hotter. I mean, if you tell relatives that don't live in the area, hey, it's 88 degrees, they probably think, oh, that's such a nice, comfortable temperature. Well, we have humidity alongside the heat, so it does feel a lot hotter than that. In fact, it already feels like the century mark, feels like the triple digits at Hobby, feels like the triple digits in Sugarland. 88 with the humidity is 100. Bush Airport, 89 right now, feels like 99. So that is a good kind of rule of thumb. If you ever are on the go and you check the temperature, maybe even if it comes up in your car, you can add on about 10 degrees for the feels like the heat index because of the humidity outside. Right now, radar shows us most of the stormy weather is in Lake Charles. That's where there have been a couple special weather statements with some wind, some isolated hail, some lightning. For us, we're quiet again, just monitoring that lone shower pushing from Freeport to Angleton, and Bolivar right now is actually just fine. So this is a good update. This little cell that was pushing towards the peninsula has now started to die down. So it's rained itself out. Fantastic. We like to see that. Okay, your hourly planner looks like this. Your high temperature today pushes up to 92 degrees. That'll be right at 3 o'clock. But notice what happens as those storms start to get going. We see the temperatures come down just a little bit. So a lot of our afternoon will actually be in the mid 80s, and that's because rain, as it comes down, evaporates, and evaporation is a cooling process. So at least there's that, a little rain-cooled air through the afternoon and the evening. Notice as we go into 9 o'clock, we're down to 81, and then during the overnight hours, we start to dip down into the 70s. 4 o'clock is active. So that's not a good time for him to be out and about. Maybe you work from home on your Mondays, or maybe you can leave the office a little bit earlier. That might be a good idea. If not, just be really careful. Slow down, budget extra time to get to where you're going, and just be really alert driving in the rain. Tomorrow morning, we'll see some clouds to greet us into our Tuesday, and then by the afternoon, that's a snapshot of your isolated 20% chance for a downpour. It'll be really quick, and it'll be impacting very few of us. So on your Wednesday, pretty similar, starting off with some clouds, and there's your isolated downpour. 3 o'clock, this particular model is putting most of the activity north of the I-10 corridor, so closer towards Spring, working its way up into Conroe, maybe even into Huntsville. But you'll notice by the evening, everybody is nice and dry, and then we increase the rain chances again for Thursday and Friday. By the end of the week, we'll also start to notice that some Saharan dust is making its way back into the Gulf Coast, and so the skyline might look a little bit more muddled. It does make for a nice sunset though, because as the sun is setting, it refracts some of the light from the dust, and it gives you some really nice, pretty pink hues, some nice oranges out there as well. And the dust we actually really like to see at this time of year because it suppresses activity in the tropics. Of course, we're keeping a really close eye on the Atlantic Basin. It is hurricane season, and luckily we are not expecting to see anything develop over the next 2 to 7 days. Your local 7-day forecast looks like this. Again, your high temperature today, 92. Today is the highest chance for you to see some downpours as well, 60%. We start to increase temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday as we decrease the rain chances. It's only isolated. And then for your Thursday, scattered storms, a good chance for you to see some of that activity. And then Friday, a pretty similar forecast. Notice Friday is actually the first day of summer. And we go into the weekend in a pretty similar trend. A chance for a few isolated storms, and heat is here and it's here to stay. Okay, I'm wishing you a fantastic Monday. I'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place.